Imagine an AI that doesn't just answer your questions, but can actually use the internet for you. I mean, we're talking about booking flights, ordering food, filling out forms on pretty much any website, just like a person would. Well, this is the vision of what's called a generalist web agent, and today we're going to dive into some groundbreaking research that's trying to make that a reality.
So this is really the central question behind the Mind2Web paper. And the ambition here is just massive. To build an agent that can turn the entire web into a tool it can use. The idea is it should be able to follow simple instructions, understand what's going on a web page, and then take the right actions to get a job done. Ultimately, it's about making the web way more powerful and accessible for everyone.
And this slide just perfectly illustrates the challenge, right? On one side, you've got a super simple human goal. On the other, you have the messy, complicated reality of a modern website with thousands of interactive elements. So how on earth does an AI bridge that gap? How does it figure out which box is for from, which one is for to, and which button is the one that actually searches for flights?
To really get why this is such a breakthrough, we first have to understand the core problem that's been holding things back. For years, researchers have been trying to build these agents, but you could say they've been stuck using training wheels in a world that really demands a race car.
Okay, so the most important part is right there in the definition. We are not talking about an AI that's just hard-coded for one specific site. A true generalist agent has to work on any website, especially sites it has never, ever seen before during its training. That, right there, is the holy grail of web automation.
And this quote from the paper gets to the heart of why progress has been kind of slow. See, previous training datasets were just too clean. They were either simplified simulations of websites or they focused on a very small, hand-picked list of sites. It's kind of like learning to fly in a perfect flight simulator and then immediately being asked to land a real plane in the middle of a thunderstorm. The skills just don't transfer over.
This chart lays it all out, and it's really interesting when you look at the numbers. Previous datasets might have had, a few hundred interactive elements per page. Mind2Web averages over 1,000. And instead of giving the AI these tedious step-by-step instructions, it gives it high-level goals. This is the kind of messy, real-world data you actually need to train a truly autonomous agent.
So that brings us to the breakthrough. Mind2Web isn't just another data set. It's the first realistic large-scale training ground that's designed specifically to build and test these generalist web agents. It's the big move from the simulator to the real world.
It all starts with scale and realism. So, the dataset is built from 137 different real-world websites. Not simulations, but the actual complex, messy sites you and I use every single day.
And these websites aren't all just like shopping sites. They span 31 distinct domains,
Covering pretty much every part of our digital lives. I mean, this chart just visualizes that diversity so well. We're talking travel, shopping, entertainment, finance, government services, social media, you name it. By training on all this variety, an AI starts to learn the general patterns of the web, not just the little quirks of one specific site.
So if you want to boil it all down, Mind2Web's breakthrough really comes down to three things. First, massive diversity. Second, a commitment to using real, unpredictable websites. And third, capturing the complex, multi-step actions needed to complete real tasks. This is the foundation you need to build robust, autonomous agents.
Okay, so we've got this incredible new training ground. But how does an AI actually use it to learn? Well, that brings us to the method, and to a model the researchers call MindAct.
Now, here's the core technical problem for any developer trying to do this. You can't just feed the entire raw HTML of a web page into a large language model. The context window is way too small and it's incredibly inefficient. It's like asking someone to find one specific sentence in a 1,000-page book by making them read the whole thing from the start every single time.
So, the solution they came up with is this really clever two-stage process. The best way I think about it is like a scout and a commander. First, a small, fast scout model scans the entire chaotic battlefield, the web page, and it identifies the 50 most relevant targets. Then it passes that shortlist to the powerful Commander LLM, which makes the final strategic decision on which single target to act on and exactly what to do.
You can see the flow perfectly in this diagram from the paper. You start with this massive, overwhelming HTML document, and the Scout model filters it all the way down to a small, manageable set of candidate elements. Then the Commander LLM uses just that little snippet to make the final choice. It's a really elegant way to focus the power of these huge models right where it matters most.
All right, so the method is super smart, but
does it work? What are the results? And what does this actually mean for developers building these systems and, for the future of AI on the web? The results here are really, really telling. On tasks within websites it's already seen before, the model gets a 52% success rate per step, which is pretty decent. But, and this is the most important part, look what happens when it's tested on websites it has never seen before. The performance drops a lot, all the way down to around 39%. And this highlights the single biggest hurdle for web agents.
So what that tells us, the crucial takeaway here, is that it's not the type of task that's hardest for the AI to learn, it's the unique design, the layout, and the logic of each individual website. An AI can get the general idea of booking a flight, but grounding that knowledge in the specific buttons and forms of a brand new website, that's the real frontier.
The implications of this are huge. For users, this is a clear path toward making the web truly accessible for everyone. But for developers, this is where it gets really exciting. That 39% success rate isn't a failure. It's a baseline. It's the first real, measurable benchmark for how well an agent can generalize. It means we can finally start turning the web into a massive, interactive API for our LLMs. This research is basically a call to action for developers to think about building more AI-friendly websites and to help build more robust agents. And hey, while today's models are still learning, early tests with models like GPT-4 on this exact dataset show incredible promise for what's just around the corner.
This research really opens up a fascinating and incredibly powerful new chapter for autonomous AI. And as we start to think about handing the keys to the internet over to these agents, we also have to consider the big responsibilities that come with that kind of power.
The paper itself actually brings this up. When an agent can not only browse but also do things like make financial transactions or post on social media, how do we build the guardrails? How do we prevent misuse while still unlocking all of this immense potential? That's really the big challenge that lies ahead for all of us as this technology continues to mature.
This is for entertainment purposes only.